have a slightly strange vlog for you today in that the sequential 13 sessions played were all film free. So I have no footage for those sessions. The reason why I done film free sessions was because I needed to catch up on content. As you know, I'm committed to sharing every single penny won and lost. And so we're just gonna go through the most significant hands for the Road to Vegas 5K bankroll challenge. I do quickly want to preface before getting into the hands that this is going to be a lot more raw than the normal vlogs I make, where I have a little bit more of a script and structure to what I'm gonna say. But this is just gonna be me going over the hands on the hand tracker that I use. But guys, I'm rambling. Let's get into hand one, session one. This was played a very long time ago, the 11th of October 2024. We end the cut off with the beautiful Jack 10 of clubs. Action ends up folding to us. Lovely spot. We make a standard open to £8 and the button with the largest stack on the table makes the call. Big blind comes along as well, and we go three ways with £25 in the pot to 7, 8, 3, 1 club. So backdoor, flush draw, a gut shot, and 2 overcards. Not bad flop. Action checks to me. I am just gonna check. I don't mind betting, but I'm just gonna check here. Button decides to bet just over 1/3. Big blind gets out of the way, and I can definitely see a case for raising, but I do decide to call, and we proceed to the turn, which is a 3 of clubs. Board pairs. Yeah, I think this is obviously a good card. We pick up the flush draw as well. I decide to check, and he bets 66% pot. Interesting sizing. I think he could be betting 8x here. This is what I'm hoping anyway. A lot of 8x for value and protection. He could have a draw. Also think this is now a good opportunity to raise. So we put in the raise to £80. Not very big, and he makes the call. Now, when he makes the call here, this raises alarm bells. I think the worst value he has here is 8x with a draw, so maybe like ace 8 of clubs or king 8 of clubs. Yeah, I just think like the worst value he has here is 8x on a draw or pocket 9s. So
it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Onto the river with £205 in the pot. It is a Queen of Hearts. We miss, and now this is where I think I show a little bit of my inexperience. This Queen of Hearts is a brick, but I do remember at the time I thought I could rep this queen. Right, let me just tell you what I did. I bet 125, and he jams all in. We have Jack High, doesn't show, but I did ask him. He claimed to have pocket threes. Makes a ton of sense. 8s make sense. 7s make sense. But yeah, I think in retrospect, when he called our raise on the turn, it should have raised more alarm bells than it did. I should have realized how strong his range was when he called, and then I should have slowed down on the river. I think giving up here at the end is the move. Our blockers are terrible. We block 10s, jacks, well, slow played 10s and jacks pre-flop, and obviously we block flush draws. We move and learn. Session result was a loss of £615. I believe that is the largest loss we've made to date. 2 weeks later, we have king jack off in the cutoff. I raise to 6. For some reason, I'm deviating from my standard £8 raise, and the big blind, who is a recreational, makes the call. We go 2 ways with £13 in the pot to queen 9 ace rainbow. He checks. I just bet my range, and he makes a raise to £15. I make the call. I don't mind folding here, but we do have a gut shot to the nuts, and that's exactly what we make on the turn with the 10 of spades. Happy days. He now leads in £75 into a pot of 43. He has £104 behind. I think just going all in here is not a bad play, but I think in position, I think the best play here is just a call, and he will probably do the job for us on the river. I think we're going to call any river, even a spade, so happy to just call here. 7 of spades on the river. He goes all in, we snap it off, and he shows jack 8 off for an absolute cooler. Unlucky to him there. We have pocket queens in the big blind, +2 with a K behind. Limps, hijack with 650, raises to 12, and it folds to us in the big blind. So we are 300 big blinds deep here with the effective stack, and I decide to go to 45. I think 50 would be perfect. Anyway, +2 is out there. Hijack just makes the call, and the flop comes 10-7-5, 2 spades, an incredibly wet flop. We are out of position, we're very deep. I decided to just check here with our overpair, and now he bets half pot. I don't think we can go anywhere. I make the call, pretty standard, and the turn is the 6 of clubs. I check again, and he bets half pot again, for pretty much the same reasons as on the flop. I don't think we can go anywhere. I think here he could be doing this with 10x, jacks, draws. So for those simple reasons, we make the call. We just need a brick and hope it checks through, but it's unfortunately the jack of spades, so I don't think we're good now. I check. He bets 300. It is a pretty easy fold, and we are back down to break even. We go on to play a few more hands and end up profiting though in the session, making a profit of £74. Moving on to session 3, guys. This was a historic session. Action folds to us in the cutoff. We have pocket kings. I raise to 6 and the button raises to 22 quid. Big blind with a short stack calls and action's back on us. I go to 106 and only the button makes the call. We are going to a flop which comes 9-7 4-2 diamonds. Our position on this wet board, I am just going to check and he decides to check back. Now it's time to put some money in. I think he's gonna have overcards a large percentage of the time. He might have protected his check back range with an overpair, which is of course what we're hoping for, but we need to bear in mind that he might also have some ace queen, some ace king. So I think we want a better sizing that could still set up a jam on the river, and that sizing to me is £85. He does eventually make the call, actually pretty quickly makes the call, and the river, please no ace. It is the 3 of spades, so now any 6 is a straight, but it's pretty irrelevant. I think we have one decision to make, all in. We're targeting those overpairs. He is in the tank, more than 3 minutes in the tank now, and eventually decides to call. Oh my goodness, this is literally the biggest hand we've ever won, and we only played for 1 hour and 9 minutes. So our win rate here is just through the roof. In for £400, out for £1,075. Just about to play our first cash games whilst out here in Malta for 1-3. We just bought 600.
Yes, sir. For 30 years at Liverpool, right? Just look at me when I'm talking to you. We didn't win the league for 30 years.
What's happening, people? Shout out to Aspers, by the way, for sorting out this 5-star hotel. So Hijack, a British player, he raised to €10. We are on the button. I raised it to 30. Small blind calls, Hijack calls as well. So we go 3 ways, about €90 in the pot. The flop comes 9-9-8 rainbow. We have 10-9 of hearts. We are in position. It checks to us. I decide to just check this one back. We block 10 jack, so I don't really need to worry about a queen coming and losing to a straight as much. I just feel like we have this board pretty much locked up. There's no flush out there, so I do decide to check, and you know, ends up giving some rope to the small blind as well if he decides he wants to bluff in future streets. The turn is the 6 of clubs, brings in the flush draw. You know, a 7 is now open-ended. Small blind decides to now bet €40 into a pot of 90. Hijack gets out of the way, and now we think it's time to unleash the trap. I raise to €150, and this is when it gets interesting. Pretty much snap goes all in. I'm thinking shit. I am thinking, oh God. Last hand of the session. If I lose this hand, I'm gonna have about 150 remaining. These are the thoughts going through my mind, and these are the wrong thoughts. I was being results oriented in my thoughts. It took me about 2 minutes to remove that thought process of being results oriented. So when I eventually came to my senses, I started thinking about what actually happened in the hand. I checked back on the flop, inducing him to potentially raise or bluff. He's not going to think I have a 9. He's probably putting me on an overpair. And I thought, okay, if he has pocket 8s, he's probably just going to call. If he has 6s, he's probably not going to do this. So it just really did not make sense to me. So for that reason, I found the call, and we are good. He shows King 10 with 10 of clubs, and I think that is the 3rd largest win to date. Super happy. We did not fold and get shown king high. But I'll keep you guys posted. Let's go! Okay! That is the entrance point right there. We opened 3-bet jam on the big blind with ace 8 off. It was an absolute punt and we tripled up. It'll be a miracle if we make it to the next break, guys. One member is down, JT. Guys, I'll hopefully see you in the next break in 2 hours time. Keep you posted. So we busted last night, guys. But what an experience it was. In the middle of the strip right now in Malta. Well, guys, just grateful to be on a trip, first poker trip. 2 of them are still in the poker tournament. Let's fucking go. One of them just doubled up. So hopefully they can do well. And we will be back for more tournament vlogs. But unfortunately we could not do it this time. Playing at a different casino, Porto Maso casino in Malta. Just finally got a seat for the cash games. We've been waiting an hour and we're with this guy here. And we are looking for the room. We're looking for the room. Where is the room? Okay, so it's VIP. Right, we've got another room. We're playing 1-3 in euros, straddle on. The low jack limps. We have pocket 10s. In the cutoff, I decide to go to 35. And the small blind makes the cold call 3 ways to 9-8 to 2 diamonds. Extremely wet flop, but we do hold blockers to 10 jack, but no blockers to the flush. Interestingly now, small blind decides to lead out for half pot. Low jack is out of there. I don't think, with all the draws out there, I don't think we can fold. The queen of clubs on the turn. I think here when he checks, it's mostly 9x. I do make that kind of play on the flop. A lot of vulnerable top pair, so I'm very happy to bet for value and protection from draws here. I bet just under half pot and he makes the call, and on the 3 of clubs he checks. I think now it's probably too thin to bet again. Oh, it is such a brick though that I think we have enough showdown value to just check back and take this pot down. So I check, but he shows pocket ends. Still think the check back on the river is probably best, but let me know what you think. We move. There is a train of limpers before us, so I decide to raise to 25 with king, queen in the cutoff. Ends up folding all the way to the low jack, and he decides to make the call. We go heads up in position to 4, 9, 10, 2 diamonds. We hold the king of diamonds and we have gut shot and overcards. Very nice flop for us. He ends up checking. I think here we can just bet range. That's what I do. And he makes the call. Now the 3 of diamonds, we pick up the king high flush draw. He decides to check. I think I really need to pay attention to how much he has behind here. He has 250 behind. So what we want to really do here is set up a very nice sizable jam for the river. But I think this is where I make the mistake. I ended up betting pot. Should have sized down here. This is the mistake in this hand. But no, he does make the call. And we need to hit now, really. We just need to hit. But we don't. It's the 8 of clubs. He checks, and as he checks, he's putting his fingers on his chips, like revving his chips, about to move them in. And yeah, I mean, when players do that, it's usually a sign of weakness, but I just think he probably will call. If I jam, the SPR is less than 0.5 here. So yeah, I check, and he shows jack 10. And yeah, I think the main mistake here was just the sizing on the turn. Need to pay attention to his stack there, and size down to make it a more scary jam. Anyway, absolutely loved the trip with the boys. What an experience. But yeah, time to return back to good old Aspers for the remaining of the hands.
I I've done centre back half.
Jeez. Moving on to session 9, significant hand number 8. The straddle is on and we pick up pocket queens in the cutoff. There are 2 limpers before us and I decide to raise this up to 30. Now Button cold calls with his £380 stack, so just under 100 big blinds, and small blind, who we do have some history with. He is a loose, aggressive, capable pro. He free bets to 130 and it folds back round to us. £200 in the pot. I think if we go for a 4-bet, it's a jam, especially because we want to squeeze out the button. But guys, this is where I make the first mistake. I don't know what's wrong with me, man, but I decide to call, invite the button in, and we go 3 ways to the flop. 4, 10, 7, 2 spades, a pretty wet flop. Small blind checks, and with an SBR of 1, I think we just want to jam here or just bet. Once again, I make the mistake of checking and button bets 125. Now small blind goes over the top and I'm in the tank and decide to fold because I think he has aces or kings. Button calls, of course, and small blind ends up taking it down with pocket jacks. Oh my days. The reason why I didn't jam is a very irrational reason, but I think sharing it could be beneficial and valuable because I at least want to not make this mistake again. When the straddle isn't on, a raise to 130 pre-flop is usually a 4-bet. So I associate his raise to be a 4-bet even though the straddle is on, right? So I didn't consider the fact that the straddle is what bloats the pot pre-flop. So I played tighter than I should have pre-flop. I almost forgot that the straddle was on and treated it like an open, and then me doing a 3-bet when I raised. Pros are going to adjust to the number of big blinds they're playing. So that was the mistake I made. I played like the recreational that I still am, who play in absolute terms. I didn't adjust the number of big blinds we're playing pre-flop. Basically, it's the mistake I made there when the straddle was on. So make sure you do adjust and, you know, bite the bullet and stack off a bit lighter, especially if the person 3-betting pre-flop is a pro. I think pros tend to take advantage of this versus recreationals because they know recreationals play in absolute terms, at least for the most part. At least recreationals like me who think like that. We need to correct that moving forward. That was a slam dunk jam pre-flop, and I also think it was a jam on the flop. It's always hard when you're playing for £500 and now you have to stack off lighter because the straddle is on, but that's what you got to accept. With the straddle being on, the variance is going to be higher. But yeah, we move on to the next one. Straddle is on and we are in the big blind with pocket aces. Low jack has limped and the action is on us. I raised to 25. Only the straddler makes the cold call and the low jack gets out of the way. So with £56 in the pot to jack 5-4 rainbow. Very nice flop for us. I check out of position and the straddler decides to bet 35 into 56, pretty large. I make the call and now the turn is the 3 of clubs. Not the best turn for us. 7-6 now gets there. I check and he bets 55, leaving himself with only around 135 behind. Yeah, I mean, if I was playing this hand today, I'm going over the top here to try to stack Jack X. So many terrible cards can come on the river. Anyway, I call and the river is the 6 of clubs. Awful. And I check. He goes all in for half his stack. And I still think we probably should call here. Definitely an argument for folding though. And that's what I do. And he actually shows king queen of spades, so we get punished for our bad play. Yeah, we should have just raised on the turn. We live and learn. On to the next one. Moving on to the final session for this vlog, session 13. We have jack 10 of spades in the hijack. I open to £8 and only the big blind makes the call with a £350 stack, and we go to the flop, which comes 8-7-3, 1 spade. So we have some backdoors going on, the gut shot and 2 overs. He leads out for 15 into 17. It is a big bet. I don't think we can go anywhere. I make the call and the turn is very nice, the king of spades, and now he decides to bet 35 into 47. He didn't raise his big blind, but he's betting so big on this king, which is going to be better for us. I think this is a prime spot to raise him. With 8x, he has to slow down. So his bet here doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I make the mistake of just calling. Frustrating to see myself just calling here. Definitely think I'd raise if I played this hand today, but I didn't. And the river is the 3 of diamonds, so we brick out, and he now bets 60 into 120, so half pot. Honestly, this looks like a king. It looks like a king, but why would he lead out with a king on the flop, right? Oh, actually, when you look at this and he only bets 60 on the river, it's quite suspicious because his range should be quite polar. So I'd actually think that he would bet much larger here and target our king X with a set. I mean, I ended up folding, guys, and he actually shows Jack 6 off, so well played to my opponent there. But yeah, I definitely had to raise turn there. Absolute blunder on my end. We move. So yeah, guys, as you saw there, still making several mistakes. So with sharing them, I hope that you've learned to not repeat these mistakes yourselves, and hopefully we can all improve. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought of this style, this raw style. Normal vlogs will resume though. Next one will be out next week. See you in the next one.